actuals and project those into the coming year based upon the changes that we're making in particularly administration. We did have a line for city manager and a line for recorder. Excuse me. Now I'm wearing both hats. So I have to figure out how much of my time I'm spending as city manager and how much of my time I'm going to be spending as recorder. So it's going to be a split. There's a requirement that we have to have a recorder, but it doesn't have to be a full time. So I get to wear both hats, which has been kind of interesting lately. A lot of things going on. So I mentioned labor. It's by far the largest expense category. We've got PERS, we've got taxes, we've got deferred compensation to deal with, and all of those things combine into a pretty large number by the time you're done with it. So how we are going to figure out what the real number or close to the real number should be, because remember, this is an estimate. Budgets are estimates. They're not, the reality is not in the financial statement. That's at the end of the day. So where am I at? One thing that I was concerned about with this recall effort happening, what happens if the wheels fall off? If we, for some reason, cannot get a budget passed by June 30th and implemented, we don't have a way to spend money and pay bills.
We have no way to collect it from the assessor either. The assessor will not allocate funds to us if we don't present it. They balanced budget.
That's true. So I talked to the Department of Revenue today and said, what happens if things get in the way? What we can do is put together what I call a shell budget that will cover the bases. May not be the best estimate, but it will be one that will allow us to continue running the government. After the beginning of the new fiscal year, which would be after July 1st, we can come back and do a supplementary budget and true it up. So it keeps us in business. We do a revision if we need to, and it keeps us running down the rails without shutting down the city government.
Budgetarily.
Well, budgetarily, yes. You know, it keeps us in with the ability to collect money from a tax assessor and pay our bill. Keep payroll going, keep the lights on.
Oh, does anyone have a general idea of how long it takes to get a recall out through the process with the county and then to the voters and back?
June 18th, there will be an election. Yeah. And it can go to the 21st, but I was asked if they like to do them on Tuesdays. I really don't care. Tuesday's fine. So it'll be June 18th. And then we have, before it's validated, if we're recalled, then we can appear if we care to be in there till June, or it would be July something when it's officiated.
30 days later, certification.
Yeah, and that would be if we want to. I mean, if that happens, we'll have to ask ourselves, you know, are we done?
I was just wondering for the dates and purposes of beginning of the new fiscal year.
Yeah.
June 30th, July 1st.
Well, Roger and I talked about it, and I'd like to make sure that we can try to get it done, even if we have to bump the meeting. Because I'm not anyone that would do that to my city. So that's whatever.
Yeah.
That's worst case scenario.
I'm just looking at the date.
Yeah, but it is. It's June 18th, and then certification would be, is it 30 days? Something like that. And then it's final. But and then too, if we're recalled and we make any decisions, somebody can come back later and say, well, They did it because they were recalled. So I don't know that personally I'd want that liability.
I just brought this up as a belt and suspenders item. Keep in mind, I'm gonna do the best I can to expedite getting this process done through what I call the shell approach. May bring in a little bit of outside help to do that, but at least it gets it done and at a point where we don't have to panic. Because panic is not fun. Don't like owning it.
We're still dealing with a deadline of May 30th to get the budget, or 25th to get it published to the public. Is that still our goal?
For that, I think we can do that. We could move it out a little bit.
Okay, I'm just wondering if we're still trying to get here to those guys or to those deadlines.
We're gonna do our best.
Okay, just wondering. Then that, how does the budget committee communicate with you or be able to participate in that process up until that date?
I think, well, does everybody have the capability to do teams?
Yes. I do.
It's installed on my laptop and my computer.
So we do have a way to make that happen.
Okay, just making sure that we can be part of that, finalization of a published budget before it goes out to the public.
Oh, absolutely. I think what we'll probably do is have that review in person.
No problem.
That way everybody's looking at the same page. We throw it up on the gizmo up here and
Make sure we can all participate.
yep, absolutely.
So if we have our meeting June 6th, say, or June 12th, if we push that 1 week for safety's sake, for the city, the good of the city, to give you guys time to do that, it has to be in public notice that we're going to have the hearing, or what is the first public notice?
The first public notice, I believe, is that we are going to have the hearing.
Okay. And the hearing we could have Tuesday or Wednesday before the first meeting, because what we did in the past was go through it, have the chair go through it, they pass it, then it comes to council, the first meeting is June to be passed. So,
That was my understanding as well.
so if that is possible with what we talked about reading in. I do have a question though. Let's back up a minute. So I read this budget and I've been here for 3 years and I have watched the budget process. And the one thing that got more aggressive and more out of place for me with the budget and brought questions and why I was questioning things was 60% of our budget was coming out of the wrong departments. Like you said, you need to figure out how much time is being spent, right? So we had gotten so high on administrative costs, and that's like, I guess, is that what you're talking about? You're gonna put them in the right categories this time?
Absolutely, because they're kind of frankly, a hodgepodge at this point.
Right.
And we need to bring some order out of chaos.
Well, it wasn't very popular to question the fact that, and then I have a question about, like, for being on the committee, I'm watching it. When you look through these, and if you look through the old budget proposals, are those available where it was being proposed that we had no money for reserves, nothing, but we were being asked to give staff a 7.4% COLA raise. So for me, I was frustrated with that too. I mean, this was just something that is public record and can be looked at, but it wasn't very popular for me to question this. I appreciate that you let me pick your brain earlier.
Well,
My
my mantra is I gotta be transparent about this. And if people got questions, let's get the answers. I mean, that's what my job is.
So I'm just really happy to hear that you're gonna try to classify the job pay to the police department out of the police department, the water out of the water, and administrator, because it wasn't like that. Everybody was getting paid from our public works. Pieces from here, pieces from there. All you have to do is read the budget. That's it. And it's very plain. So good job, Roger.
Thank
At least your methodology makes me happy. Everybody else okay with that?
Just want to make sure that you know and understand that, because I know it's going to be a lot of changes before we obviously approve that. So that's all I need to be sure of.
Sure.
I'm fine with it, but I think that it should be correctly classified because the classification has been a large part of being able to sort out the past year's budgets.
And they've not made sense. That's like predicating our income on grants. We didn't have huge $1 million grants. And we didn't know for sure we'd get them. It was very troubling to me. And I'm hoping that that's not the way we're going to operate going forward.
Speaking of grants, we made the first payment on the water treatment plant. We put the claim into ARPA to get repaid for it. We should have those funds in about a week. And the cycle it's gonna roll over every month. When we get paid, I put the money back up in the pool, same amount that we took out. And we'll make each transaction one of those things that is very transparent. And the reason we're doing it this way, putting the money back up in the pool, is so that we continue to earn interest on it.
And I think if you guys were at those meetings where it was said that I had ACH transfer power, no, I don't. I have oversight where if he transfers money, I get an email immediately saying, Roger took another safety precaution and I want to applaud him. Before Roger and I looked at it, you could move that money to any bank account anywhere. Roger has set it up to where it only goes to our city account.
So what you're trying to say is there's been checks and balances that you've implemented that were not previously in force with
Yes,
the
sir.
city. So
Yes,
we
sir.
do have those checks and balances, so nothing can be done untoward or through a single point of failure. Thank you.
So I'm just, Roger, I think you're on the right track. I hope to continue to work with you. But if I don't, I'm still going to New York City. I'm just, yeah,
Good for you. You need a vacation.
yeah, it's really.
I'm saying home money.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
that's the only way you get a vacation.
We could really say it.
So for me, that's pretty much it. I thought this was gonna be a short meeting and I just kept rambling on here and checking off everything I wanted to talk about, so.
Any questions though? Having that
Any
or
additional
comments
questions?
or concerns?
I just want to make sure that this budget carries forward, transparency and like things I was mentioning earlier, checks and balances that were not previously available to the city. So I think that there's a lot of misconceptions that are being promulgated through social media about there's no checks and balances, that one person has the sole authority to make these decisions. It's not true.
Oh, that's true. And if I or Councilman Harvey were really, we would ask a question and we were met with, that's an administrative function. That was just another way of telling us, we're not gonna tell you. It's how I felt. It's how I felt. And it's what was said and it's in the record. So I know you witnessed.
Understood, I did, and that's why we make sure it's on.
So I think we're on the right path. And I think just open conversation with everybody is best, but if they don't come to the meetings regularly, then they hit and miss and they cherry pick. Yeah, I see that that's what's going on. That's my feeling. But
So Roger, I want you, if you would, just for me, 'cause I'm not very smart. But
Yes.
I don't profess to. Anyway, the part about, so the budget that you're gonna do from here on until we pass one is gonna be kind of like, what'd you call it? Shell.
It'll be one that will cover the bases. It may not be the most accurate estimate, but we can make it a more accurate estimate after the dust settles a little bit.
and Sarah had said too, correct me if I'm wrong, that if we use more budget out of one line, we can supplement it, move it through resolution. And we can do a process where that is what I gleaned from the last, which I know from being the mayor. For the last first year, I seen some of that. The next 2 years, I don't know how the money got, there was not resolutions, to my knowledge that we really, I don't know how that process was working. So I'm glad that you're instituting that again.
before we move any money from one fund to another, there will be a resolution.
The city council resolution.
Yes,
Well,
correct.
that's
Okay,
the
I'm just
government,
making sure that we're
and
clear on
that's
the
another
matter.
thing. Or another, there'll be something. It's just. Anyway, off that, but. So. And incorporate our CPA into this, I think. We have it on.
Yes, Ed.
No, really, I would
Yeah.
do that in the time frame.
Well, we do have a governmental accounting expert to be able to rely upon.
And
for-
that is who this is.
I understand, but I want to make sure that that's also understood by the public as well.
Sure, and not only that, but we're setting a new template for the years to come, a proper budget procedure. If you went by the templates that are there before Roger and this new concept of putting it the way we believe it is supposed to be, it should be, every other city's looked at me and said, what were you doing? What were you guys doing? So I think that hope to set there is a template to go forward in years to come is very important.
Well, it's gotta be simple to follow. It can't be this labyrinth of,
Trying to hustle money out of here.
yeah,
there,
well, and
everywhere.
gibberish about how to do it. It's gotta be simple enough so somebody that has a reasonable accounting knowledge can walk in off the street and read the procedure thing and say, oh, this is how I really need to do this. Because on a lot of things, frankly, there hasn't been much of a crumb trail for me to follow. I've kind of had to reinvent the wheel as I go here. I'm getting better at it.
You're finding stuff right and left or right. That's true of life. There are causes at home and like, I can just find the dust bunnies. Right? Well, that's what's important to me is stay, go, whatever. I'm gonna continue what I do. But Right, just. So, that being said, are we done?
I believe we
Do
are.
you guys have any questions of Roger or any comments, please? This is the time. Anybody out there? Cynthia, any questions? Hands? Okay, not seeing any. The time is 6:52 and this meeting's adjourned.